Podcasting from somewhere in the San Francisco Bay Area, the birthplace of Bruce Lee, the iPhone, and the bendy straw. This is Ruel's Running Podcast, a podcast about running, health, family, play, and an NSNG lifestyle. And now, here's your host, Ruel.
There was a dream a million miles away. There was fire in
Amazon.com. You know, I won't be surprised if more and more stuff that I shop for, buy, and get shipped to my home comes from Amazon. It's just a reality, right? And if this is your reality, go to ruelsrunning.com, click through to the Amazon banner to get to Amazon. Why am I asking you to do so? Well, it is a no-cost-to-you way. If you like listening to Ruel's Running Podcast, it is a way that you can help the show out without spending more than you've already spent while shopping at the good folks at Amazon.com. So help us out. Go to ruelsrunning.com, click through to the Amazon.com site, and shop, connect, and enjoy. Hey friends, how's it going? Welcome to Ruel's Running Podcast. I am your host, Ruel. If you are a new listener, welcome. Glad you're here. Hope you stick around. Don't have high expectations because this isn't a high... blah, 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 blah. If you're a return listener, what's up, guys? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, Lonnie? I know Lonnie's tuned in. Yeah. Hey, guys. How's it been? I want to just talk a little bit about things going on. You know, as we wrap up January, by the time this gets out, it may just be that. And what's on my mind has to do with running. And I'm not gonna lie. I have how I'm feeling about my upcoming run. I've talked about it on and off a little bit with my wife, and it's a 50K event. And as I've mentioned before, I've not done an event since 2011, I think. And I think it was I did a half marathon in 2011. I also did a marathon in 2011. I did several half marathons, as a matter of fact, but the very last may have been a half marathon. The San Jose Rock and Roll half marathon, where a buddy of mine, Darwin, we decided, let's run this thing with our Vibram 5 fingers. And we did it. Not an issue. Kind of crazy that we did it, given that it was a road race. And surprised that neither of us walked away with stress fractures or other injuries. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, I haven't done a paid event, organized event since 2011. Since then, I've just been doing solo long runs over the years, and saves me the cost, saves me the having to operate under somebody else's schedule. But, you know, my last few long runs fail 50 distance attempts got me thinking about if I'm going to end up spending a long time on the trail or on a run, it'd probably be best to have paid for it and having a level of support out there already, rather than hoping that my family can meet me along the way. at the time when I did those long runs, it made the most sense, and I had my level of success. But if I ever hope to go longer, I can't expect that to carry on. So, I need to find a good 50-miler to get into. One that's, looks fun and doesn't look like it'll kill me, and one that doesn't kill the pocketbook. Because as you know, this podcast doesn't pay me to. I don't make money with the podcast. So, I can't say my running registrations are covered by direct contributions or earnings off of this show. But that's just something that would be nice to have one day, at any rate. So yeah, 50 miles. But I can't just hop into a 50 miler right now. Well, I could. I'll probably die and suffer miserably. But instead, what I did find, what was very attractive, was a 50 kale and artichoke salad dip. No, what I found was a 50 kilometer trail run, which is not too far from home. So and registration was not in the 3-figure market. So yeah, pretty excited. It's a trail that I've been curious about, and this is a perfect way for me to get introduced to it, get back into an event, and get trained up. So yeah, I'm half sort of concerned because I don't have any formalized training done up to this point. I've not run anything longer than an hour, I think, for over 6 months. And so I guess I could say I'm pretty well rested. I shouldn't be coming in with any injuries. But yeah, you guys know what that's like. For those of you guys that like to spend time doing some activity like running or biking or other treacherous activities that put your body out on the line, test your endurance and mental stuff, mojo, your mental balls. So here we are. I come off of a weekend with the family, and we've done a couple of these within the past month, where we've gone to a place for snow play with the kids. And the place is only, it's more elevation than I'm accustomed to. It's 4,000 feet of elevation, and to get up to where there's some good snow. And there I am playing in the snow with the kids, and getting winded pretty easily. It's kind of insane. I'm just interested in climbing up the snowbank to have some snow play with the kids, and easily motivated to go up, but quickly winded. So it's concerning to me, because I don't know if that's normal for sea level dweller like me, or if it's an indication that I'm really going to be in trouble. Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be fun and interesting next month when I do that event. Yeah, not a whole lot of preparation. Nope, not whatsoever. I've thought about what's going to be on my feet, and I've thought about a little bit of what I'm going to have to eat. But yeah, I almost feel like I'm going to wing it, and that might not be a good thing. But when I approach it that way, though, I like it because I'm not stressing throughout this period of leading up to it. Nobody needs that. I don't need it. I don't know. And I got so much other shit going on in my world, still in a new job, the 3 kids, all of their, activities. So there. How's your running coming along? Gee, rude of me not to ask. Just hop right in talking about my stuff. Let me know how things are going, guys. I know I've been watching online, social media. There's a bunch of folks that I know that have been doing some awesome stuff. Some folks that I know, or a lot of folks that I know not so well, but follow, that are doing crazy stuff. And, it's all inspiring. I share stuff on the Rules Running Facebook page every now and then when I see stuff that's pretty cool and interesting and inspiring in the form of feats of running. Yeah. Hey, so that's running. And another aspect of what's going on with me and how it may or may not impact my running is, I'm not as optimal as I'd like to be as far as nutrition and all that good stuff. And what happens when I'm completely dialed in with my nutrition, guess what? I'm lean and mean and feeling awesome, and that hasn't been the case for quite a number of months, and I've talked about it throughout the holiday, about time spent throughout the holidays and whatnot. And just the other day, I was just running, I don't know, across the parking lot or something, and my oh my, there's a whole lot of stuff jiggling that I don't remember jiggling the last time I went out on a really good run. So, needless to say, I am not lean and mean. The good thing is that I can't measure it. At least on the weights on a scale, I can't measure it. Why? Because we have this digital scale. This digital bat scale, and the battery is dead, so it doesn't tell me anything. But yeah, I'll stand in front of a mirror, and then there have been better days, and but the good thing is, I can still put on my clothes, right? I'm still putting on clothes way more smaller than I've had in my young adult life. And clothes that, I had not been able to fit into since high school, right? That's kind of the common thing with folks having a good amount of success in the main Facebook group, the NSNG Facebook group. They're like, lose just enough weight, and they go clothes shopping, and they can't believe the mirror, can't believe their eyes that they've been able to put in something. Because, gosh, your mind doesn't catch up. I'm still that way. It's been over 4 years, I think. I had to buy a pair of a dress shirt for the company winter party, right? I didn't have any white dress shirts that would go well with a tie and under a coat, because it's not fitted right. And so my choices at the store were, immediately I'm thinking, just put me in a small. That's what I wear for t-shirts. But when you'd shop for a shirt in the shop where I shopped, shop, did the shop, shop the shop, ship a shop, ship a shop, 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 shop. They've got things like tight-fitted, small, and super slim, and ultra slim, and slimmity ding dong. Stuff like the super mega ultra tight slim. I can't believe people wear stuff like that. Why would you? You might as well wear spandex, which, by the way, the shirts partly are majority cotton and partially spandex, because it works out that way. It works. So yeah, I was trying a set of the smalls in the varying fits, and still shockingly surprised that I can get my body in those shirts. Meanwhile, my mind is still has not caught up to it. I still kind of freak out that weight loss that I've experienced years ago, still when I go clothes shopping, like, whoa, can't believe that's me. So yeah, pretty cool. What else?
Coming up, Rue gives us something else to think about. How vague is that, Ruel? Geez. Could you be any vaguer, Ruel? Well, it's all coming up on Ruel's Running. Okay, the book is called Eat Happy, Gluten-Free, Grain-Free, Low-Carb Recipes for a Joyful Life by me, Anna Vicino. Eat Happy has 154 delicious grain-free, gluten-free recipes that are also free of any processed sugars. There are meats, fish, sides, soup, starters, casseroles, slow cooker recipes, breakfast dishes, and even desserts to satisfy any sweets craving you might have, all with virtually no sugar. If you are low-carb, paleo, are wanting to keep autoimmune issues at bay, or just want to lose extra weight, Eat Happy gives you comfort food where you won't miss the sugars or grains, so your body and brain can feel happy from eating real food. Okay, go get it then. Now's your chance. Yay! Yay!
Hey, how's everybody doing? I want to talk about some family time, and I know that we rolled into essentially a new year, but I did miss the opportunity to talk about how I ended the year and how I ended the year with the family. And I did touch on that there was vacations and all that stuff and a lot of good stuff, but there was a lot of stuff, and I hadn't had any time to really think about all the stuff we did. We just kind of blew right through it, enjoyed it all. But I wanted to talk a little bit about stuff that we had the opportunity to enjoy with the kids, my wife and I. So we live in Northern California, and we drove down south to LA area, with the main focus of the trip was to enjoy a Disneyland type of time. Rented a place, a hotel, an inn, if you will, and that's where we would spend majority of the time. But before all of that, before we had a chance to actually get our tickets for the Disneyland park, we did a few things beforehand. And one of the things we did was, and it's something that I've heard about but never really thought about doing, but my wife found it on the internet and the opportunity to do it, and said, why not? Let's have it part of the adventure. And I'm talking about what's called chill. It's a thing that I guess has happened in the past, where it's a wintry, holiday themed sort of carnival type atmosphere. There are attractions and little rides and vendors, all decked out and decorated in a holiday theme. And it is held at the by the dock where the Queen Mary was docked over at the Long Beach Harbor. So yeah, pretty cool. The Queen Mary is this massive ship, this historical ship that I don't have a lot of detail in front of me to talk about because I'm not really interested in sharing that level of detail. But just know it's an old boat, and you go in and there's exhibits of smaller model ships like the Queen Mary and the history around it. And I can't help but think about things like the Titanic when I look at the Queen Mary and when I'm in it. It's pretty fascinating to see the inside. We had the tickets that we purchased for the family for the chill sort of activity gave us the opportunity to also explore one floor of the ship, which was, I guess, the parlor, which is equivalent to, back then, and in that ship, the little shopping area of the ship. And everything's sort of laid in wood in the inside, and, everything's kind of compact compared to today's standards, and it's pretty neat. Hopefully that's something that the kids will remember for a long time. And so did that. Back to Chill. Chill had they had access. There was access to this dome. I want to call it an expo building of some. It looked like it reminded me of the Epcot Center at Disney World in Florida, because it had that dome / golf ball type thing vibe, where it's looked like that. It's just like a series of triangles to create this dome. So we go in and they've got sort of a sled ride slide, and it wasn't even really snow. It was like carpet, and but it did the job, and it looked fun. So everyone but myself and my daughter did it. And there was an exhibit, an attraction. It was a Alice in Wonderland themed thing, and they had characters playing. They had characters there, I've acted out by staff over there, actors and actresses, and things were lit up and bright and pretty cool. There was a trampoline, and there were little indoor shacks that served treats and stuff. It was an interesting thing. We probably won't do it again for the amount of money that we put into it. But that was the exhibit inside, indoors. That was the indoor exhibit and activities. Outside, there was ice skating, which was cool. And there were other vendors, churros and whatever you can imagine. And there was a pretty neat, what are they called? There's a chain swing that, there's a series of swings that spin around, kind of like the way a carousel spins around, but you're all on swings. I can't even think of the name of it. But my oldest son and I lined up for it, and got our chairs and in the swings, and secured ourselves, and enjoyed that ride. It's pretty neat getting spun around, and he really enjoyed it. The rush that you get from something like that, he was really into it. And what I noticed by the exit of that ride was a sign that said basically this was the ride that was in Michael Jackson's Neverland Ranch at one point in time. So, there you go, another little piece of history. If you can consider Michael Jackson's Neverland Ranch a piece of history or memory. But yeah, that's pretty cool, I think. And we did that. So it was just something to do, something new to see, and really enjoyed it. Now, there was other things that we sort of got ourselves into in a good way that again, new experience, new location, don't know what to expect, and it was what was called the Festival of Lights over at Riverside. And again, I'm just kind of going off of memory. I didn't sit down to sort of plan things out as how I was going to talk about this stuff. But over in Riverside, around the time of our vacation, there's this thing they have called Festival of Lights, and I think it's downtown. There is a historical building, a hotel, still active, and they've got pretty elaborate, I guess, and impressive Christmas light setup in what's I guess is sort of like a garden entrance to the hotel, and it's gated, and because it's kind of a big deal over there, you can't just go in without having some sort of line to sort of make sure everything's coordinated, because the hotel is still pretty active. There are guests at the hotel. People, they want to prevent people from being disruptive, so they made it where you line up and you are directed through the lobby so you can enjoy the interior of the hotel lobby and all of the holiday decorations and the lights that are outside. And it's only a few minutes, real easy kind of tour, and you're done. But the rest of the downtown area, several blocks I suppose, was decked out in lights. We went there in the evenings, obviously, so we can enjoy the lights. A lot of vendors, a lot of carriages and horse rides and horse-drawn carriages and stuff. There was one of the carriages that were specific to if you wanted to get married. If somebody wanted to get married at that moment, at that time, then they can hop onto one of these carriages, and as the thing went through the town, there was some officiant in the carriage with you, and doing the whole thing there. And it was a nice setting. We may do that one again. That was cool. The other thing that we did was over in I think it's Fullerton. There's an AMC full service dining viewing type theater where my wife booked it, and you can book your seats at this movie theater, and you go in, and it's one of these movie theaters where you walk right in and there's actually a bar at the entrance. And when you get into your theater and seated, there is a little light right by your seat and menus, and a waiter or waitress comes over and takes your order, and you basically run up a tab, get all of your drinks and food, and watch a movie. And we did that. So that was kind of a neat new experience as well with the kids. We watched the animated movie Sing, and I enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed it more than my wife did. But it was a good time. That was that. And then we followed those visits and those experiences by going back to our inn by Disneyland, and we followed all that stuff with several days at Disneyland. So we spent a good week in Southern California with the family. Really fun. We're at a point now where the kids are old enough to enjoy stuff, and they're old enough so that there isn't a lot of dependency on nap time and all that stuff taking us away. We didn't stay in the park. We stayed outside of the park, so we just had to walk a block from where we were at to the entrance of the park. And the place we rented was pretty neat, and it's sort of like right now our policy, if we have to have a policy as far as what we rent when we go out and do these extended trips, is to rent a place with a kitchen so that we just stock up. We get to where we need to get for the trip. We find a place to buy supplies, groceries, and whatnot, and then we stock up the kitchen. And so every morning, every day of the trip was basically just like at home, where I would get up and I would make breakfast and an extra food for the lunchtime or even in the evening. And yeah, it's good. It's my meditation period where I get to make myself coffee, heat up the pans, work on some bacon, work on some eggs. Our home away from home, and just like home, we kept the bacon grease that rendered off the bacon that I cooked, but we also packed a mason jar of our own home bacon grease, so that when we did have cooking, just in case there wasn't much sort of bacon fat rendered from the stuff that we cooked on a day, we would always have something to work off of with the home brought bacon fat. Yeah, we did this trip for the new year, and when you're right outside of the Disneyland park, almost every night there are fireworks anyways. But for New Year's, the fireworks were a bit more elaborate and lengthy and and abundant. So we got to enjoy that right outside by looking right outside right through the window, looking outside at the park. Didn't have to deal with the crowds, didn't have to deal with the cold or the wet, because parts of the trip was wet. And pretty neat, pretty cool. A lot of pictures. Thank God for the iPhone and the ability to take as many pictures you possibly can store, and then once we got back to hotel Wi-Fi, just transmit all that stuff to the cloud so that we can clear our phones and capture more memories via picture and video. Yeah, that's cool. That was it. Had some interesting moments that I did take note of. And it basically there's one trip in the park. We were there in the evening, and gosh, I think this particular trip we it's the happiest place on earth, and it's a shame when things that don't experiences that are otherwise happen in there. And what I'm talking about is there was this one evening we enjoyed parts of the park, Disneyland, and we wanted to kind of stroll through the castle at night to get a good look at the castle. Actually, we wanted to go to the Peter Pan ride, and there was gridlock. It was one of those nights or days where the park decides to close off part of the park for some reason, which meant a lot of the traffic. And this particular evening was really unusual from what I kept overhearing from people nearby. And so a lot of that foot traffic had to divert into and get jammed in one spot. And it was where we were at. Literally couldn't move. When we had a stroller, a double stroller, a side by side. and you can hardly move an inch. It was pretty bad. And at some point in the jam, this one woman kind of just cuts right through, just decides, she's just going to just muscle her way through. Pretty not courteous. I don't know how to describe it. Pretty rude. She had a smile on her face. But, that wasn't the problem. The problem was what followed after her was the rest of her party. And that involved a double stroller, which is sort of a front and back, the long sort of limo of baby strollers. And there was another woman right by the stroller. So this is the second woman in the party. And she was trying to pull. She wasn't behind the stroller. Someone else was behind the stroller in the push position, but she was in the front to sort of position it, do the turns and whatnot, and unblock anything that may be in the way, because the side of our stroller was nearby and had been in the way. I mean, we hardly had moved, and suddenly we're in her way. She's the one that's trying to muscle her way through, gets her wheel jammed up against our stroller, and she just pulls and pulls and pulls. And I said, well, that's not going to do any good. You can't, you're not going to just free it up by just forcing it. It's a solid object and they're tied together. They're locked up together. How is that going to make any difference? And she was probably still is, I believe, a Vietnamese woman. Only because all of the Vietnamese women that I've heard speak through my life had the same accent. And so this woman was kind of hunched down looking at the strollers and pulling and yanking in frustration. And after I said, that's not going to do any good, right? I hear this. I hear, fuck off. And I put two and two together, and she basically told me to F off. Followed by, from her, fuck off and die. Kind of like a robot. Like, oh, that's interesting. And my first impulse, my gut impulse was to get into it. But the other side of me was like, but I'm with my kids. I can't do that. And they hadn't noticed what had gone on. I don't think anybody else would have known because of the way she said it and her accent. I just was the unfortunate guy who knew how to decipher what she was saying. So I helped remove or free up our strollers, but it meant that I had to kind of push my stroller the other opposite direction and hit somebody in the foot. Some other woman also says, ow, and I looked at her, I'm like, I'm really sorry. And she understood, because it's a bad situation. But I said to her, I'm really sorry, but this woman over here just told me to F off and die. And then she was like, oh, shocked. And people around were like, oh, shocked. So, yeah, it bothered me. I'm not going to lie, it bothered me. We ended up moving along. We didn't have far to go to where we needed to be. And parking our stroller next to, appropriately was only feet away. It just felt like forever. Foot away or several feet away. So I thought, the evening ended. We enjoyed the Peter Pan exhibit and the ride, and just on my own, just sort of thought about how kind of messed up it was. The following day, had time to think about it again. I mean, don't get me wrong, it didn't overwhelm my psyche, but what I did realize at the end of the day was I actually am impressed that she told me to F off and die. Why? Because there are a lot of times that I've wanted to tell people to F off and die myself, but have kept it in for whatever reason. So she had enough guts to just tell me to F off and die, so I can totally understand where she's coming from, So yeah, After that point, I've kind of stopped being sort of like, wow, that was messed up, to more like, wow, I kind of admire her. She's really small in stature, and if I was a different person and I wanted to fight back or be really ridiculous, I'm a bigger person than her, and and like a lot of people were capable of doing really horrible things, but they didn't go that way. And so she had a lot of sort of frustration and gut to go ahead and just say what she had to say. I mean, I knew that I can sense also that she was kind of scared, but she was frustrated enough to say what she said. She didn't make any eye contact. She just continued to look down. So, yeah, I get it. And that was that. And my little being told off by a little Asian woman to F off and die in Disneyland. You hear that on my stomach. What else? Oh, this was funny. On the way back, we had to do the walk back, and we were pushing the stroller, and we were crossing the front of a souvenir store, and outside the store was a woman sitting down asking passerbyers if they had 50 cents to spare. Just to paint the picture and not to be racist, she was an African American woman. She was just chilling out, asking people for spare change, and like we do a lot of times, is we just sort of just go on our business and stroll on by, and she's not being pushy, she's not being a jerk in any way, and we're not, either. We're just sort of like, we've got a bunch of kids, it's nighttime, it's time for bed, and we're going, and there's other people there, but we sort of like, with the stroller, just kind of swiftly move pass by her. And as we're passing by, before we pass by, she asks, do you have 50 cents you can spare? And right when we stroll past her, my son says, nope. Right? And it was hilarious. It was so hilarious that even the woman, she cracked up. She's like, wow. She's like, that was, I think she said, that was pretty blunt. And I looked at her and it was laughing. We were all laughing to get, about it. My son, just innocently. He's 6, I think. Does anybody has 50 cents to spare? Nope. And on we go. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, just an observation. A bunch of an observation. A lot of people at Disneyland throughout that week, and I'm just seeing a lot of different hair color. And I don't know. Hair color that I'm seeing is stuff that even when I was in high school, when I was in high school, I wanted to change the color of my hair, and I had did the bleach thing at some point, and I've done the the hair dye type stuff, and I don't know, but this time around, there's just, I don't know, in my colorblind eyes, it looks like light blue or something, or pink, or I don't know, just stuff that people are wearing pretty regularly by observation at the Disneyland. Kind of interesting. Not my thing. Kind of looks like people are wearing, brightly colored, flavored snow cones on their head. The other thing are the guys with the floppy hair is back. The floppy hair is back. Been back for it's not new. It's been back for a while, but I've been around during this trip. I mean, I've now have the opportunity to watch a lot of more people, and yeah, it's the long hair at the top, and the tight and shaved sides and back, and they'll flop the hair to one side, and yeah, that's been a thing. I mean, it's not a new thing because I've done my share of shaving the sides of my head and leaving the top long and blah blah blah, but it's interesting to see how it's a style today, and everyone's basically got it. Not everyone, but you know what I mean. And if that person is a dude who can sport a full beard, they're doing the full beard with that haircut. So yeah, that's that. Can't wait for that to go away. Yeah, that's the family vacation, which was a good week. And it was also interesting because when we got back home, we did a week full of work, and then we followed up the following weekend with a snow trip. So we did the following weekend at a place where there was snow. It was a couple hours away from here, and I talked about it in the previous podcast, but that was good fun. Again, something new for all of us, so it's always an adventure. Just trying to have that mindset of go out, try something new, and enjoy. Instinctively, I don't know, my insides automatically want to switch to let's just stay home and do what's comfortable, but I know that's not gonna fly, and just gotta go out and experience new stuff, do new things, and that's that. Don't forget to hug your family, eat something delicious, and go run something. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Ruel's Running Podcast with Ruel. If you like what you just heard, share it with your friends and your enemies. Also, be sure to check out the site over at ruelsrunning.com. This has been another Coffee with Heavy Cream production. Join us next time for another silly show of Ruel's Running Podcast.